I'm Nan Simonson with Aging Powerfully with Nan, and I don't have a copy of my book to show you, Aging Powerfully, but we're in a new place. We're traveling. I'm in San Francisco with my husband Tim. He just turned 69 yesterday. I'm 70 and a half now, and I am so grateful for well, my mission, but the lifestyle that I chose to help me develop that mission. You probably know that I have a book that was published in December of 2020. So it's about 7 months since publication. And it was based on my having, almost 3 years ago, adopted a whole food plant-based diet, my becoming a lifestyle and health coach with lifestyle medicine, and my beginning to live in such a way that I was fueling my body on a daily basis, taking care of it on a regular basis, knowing that I was going to be 70 and that I wanted to do that well. And that's where I started thinking, 6 months before I turned 70, how am I going to do this? And at that time, I thought I'll be 70 and soaring. And then I thought, let's go beyond that. Let's think ahead to 10, 20, 30 years out. Let's think of a mission. Let's help people see that at any age, we can be powerful. So on my way up here, flying to San Francisco, and then we're going to go on to Santa Rosa, then we're going to go on to a lovely community called Sea Ranch up the coast of Northern California and stay with some friends who have a place there. Part of what I wanted to embrace was the idea that when we are in these later years, we don't have to start thinking about how we're going to wind down. We can wind up. I'm all wound up. I am so on fire with what this mission can be, because I look around me and I see people struggling. You've heard this from me at younger and younger years, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds struggling health-wise. It doesn't have to be that way if we adopt lifestyle as medicine and take great care of ourselves. And the science-backed best way to nourish ourselves is with fruits and vegetables, grains and legumes, seeds and nuts, or any variety of that is primarily plant-based. And you've heard me say that even though this is epidemiological, the blue zones have shown us that the longest living people in the world are those who are primarily plant-based. And doing that, what this has told me on this trip is that if you take care of yourself, it's not a struggle. People worry, well, I'll have to struggle because I'll have to give up so much. And I understand that. When we got to San Francisco, let's talk about food. When we got here, it's been, 5 days, and we're heading out this morning. When we got here, I pulled out my app, Happy Cow. Why is the cow happy? Because nobody's slaughtering her to eat her or keeping her pregnant so that they can milk her until she's ready to turn into hamburger. So Happy Cow app, you can dial in. It is vegan, vegetarian. And I hit the vegan button, and I came up with, and that starts with restaurants and food purveyors, nearest you and then further and further away. So we found a fabulous place to eat. The very first day, it was a place, and I can't remember the name, and I left too little time for me to go through and find it. But it was created by a monk. There are pictures of him with Nelson Mandela. 45 years ago, he established this place in San Francisco and ran it personally. And he has passed since, but the place is still there with the best, primarily vegan food. I think they may have offered eggs, but we don't do eggs. I don't do any animal product, whatever. And the food was outstanding. outstanding. You wouldn't have missed anything if you were someone who ate animal product. And that's what we've been doing. And our habit is, breakfast is a big bowl of oats and nuts and our hemp and chia and flaxseed and banana and berries, and couldn't be any better. Then our big meal is lunch, where we find these places. We went to a place called, what is it? I wrote it down. Gracias Madre. Thanks, Mom. And again, a vegan Mexican restaurant. Fabulous, absolutely fabulous. And we always eat a lot because we want to try all their different offerings. And then we went to a place called Wild Seed the next day for lunch. And lunch can be 1 or 2 o'clock, or in that case, I think it was 3. And then yesterday we went to a place called The Greens, and same thing. We order a lot off the menu, eat a lot, and then come home and maybe have dinner later, which would be just vegetables over a steamed potato. I have a little sack that I put my potato into, and we get these giant potatoes and cut it in half. And then the dry sauteed vegetables, put in a little soy sauce or whatever on top of that. So our dinners are very, very light. But what am I most grateful for? And I got on that because, yes, I look around me and I see the things we don't eat anymore. I won't go, well, unfortunately, because I'm gluten sensitive, I miss out on some really great whole grain breads that my husband can eat, even though we usually don't buy any of that. But we went to the Ferry Building, for example, in San Francisco. And if you know anything about the Ferry Building, it's built in 1889, or is it 98? 1898. And it was where the ferries came in and people would disembark or take off for one of the other shores around San Francisco. And but in 203 it was renovated to be a marketplace, and just amazing places, because San Francisco loves its foods, its cheeses, its bakeries, its I'll say high-end, and if not high-end, very creative food offerings. Well, there was a lot when we went to the Ferry Building that we wouldn't have. Not the cheeses, not the meats, and not the dairy, not the I can't do most of the breads. And so yeah, that's it's okay. It's all right, because what do I have in exchange? When we chose good health, again, my husband and I'm over 70, he's getting there, and we could do things that we could never have done had we not taken care of ourselves. We went on a bike ride. It was an electric bike, but we were still riding, and I do a lot of pedaling. I keep the power on, actually I had it on 0 and just used a throttle when we were going up the hills. But for 6.5 hours, we rode from the bike shop down to the wharf, up to the entrance of Golden Gate Bridge. We rode across Golden Gate Bridge into Sausalito, rode around Sausalito, and then we were taken to Muir Woods, which is where they have the fabulous stands of redwoods, Sequoia sempervirens, giant redwoods, the biggest in the world. And we were able to walk around that for an hour and a half. No problem. We can do things like that because we feel so good and so strong. Then the next day we took a walk all over the city. It was like there was no limit to what we were able to do, because the joints work, there's no pain. Where our knees work, our hips work, our joints work, because our diet, whole food, plant-based, is anti-inflammatory. It really makes a difference. Our skin looks better than it did before we went plant-based. I always had a healthy diet, but what happens when there's not a lot of meat and saturated fat in there is that your blood is oxygenated to the degree that your cells are that much healthier. And phytonutrients, phytochemicals make all the difference in the world. And yesterday we went into, because we always rent Airbnbs, and I'm in front of a super pretty wall. I just love the color of this wall. This is a fabulous place. In San Francisco, there are all these, do they call them great dams? I don't know, these houses that are narrow and but they're all different, but they're put side to side. And this was a renovated first floor, and it's basically an apartment. It's gorgeous. Wonderful kitchen. We always have to have the kitchen because we make our breakfasts and our dinners and then are out for lunch. And, oh, what was my point with that? Oh, darn. Oh, we went down to the park, and we're only 2 blocks down from Golden Gate Park. And at the entrance of Golden Gate Park, they call that the Panhandle. So we walked and we started going into the park, and the park is very wide, and it'll go down almost to the ocean. And somehow we got turned around. I don't know how, but we were walking back and not really knowing the lay of the land. We didn't have our cell phones for the GPS. We got lost. We were gone for almost 3 hours. We're walking at almost a running pace. We are very fast walkers, and we could do that. Now, we were stressed because as it's getting darker, we're realizing we're lost, and we didn't have our phones to find our way back. But we could do it. We could do it for 3 hours walking like that. We couldn't do that if we hadn't taken care of ourselves. So that's my message today. My message today, and I'm if anybody is commenting and anybody is on, are we live? Yeah, we're on. I can't see anything on my phone. I'll get back to you after I get off, because all I see is the screen. That's my message today. We're on this holiday. We still have, gosh, 8 more days? And we're going to Santa Rosa, where I already have the bike shops scoped out. We'll be in an Airbnb in a vineyard, and then we're going to go up the coast. All of this requires physical energy, exertion, because that's what we do. We don't go to a place and just sit and take trolleys all over. We walk and walk and walk and move and ride bikes and do physical things. Yesterday, we went down, was it yesterday? Yes, to the ferry building. We didn't park anywhere near the ferry building. We parked almost a mile away at what they call Coit Tower, and then walked down these steps, the Greenwich steps, in which case we walked back and forth to the ferry building and then up, and we counted over 350 steps. So who does that? Who does that unless you feel well enough? And you can make that happen by making good choices. And unfortunately, part of those good choices mean giving up some of the things that, I'll say, industry, the processed food industry, the animal agriculture industry, well, you don't make money on apples, and you don't make money on beans and oak groves and water. And yet those are the purest things that we can do for our body. But when we get used to the exchange, and that's what I've done. I've gotten used to the exchange. I don't see it as a sacrifice. I see it as a blessing. A blessing that every day when we wake up and feel great and are ready to take off, which we are right now, I'm dressed to go right down to the park, because that's what we do. We move because it feels so good. In exchange for not having junk that's so addictive that we have a hard time giving it up, I'll take my pure food any day. That's my message. I'm taking off now. I'm glad you're here if you're here, and you'll be able to see this at some other time. And by the way, this is August, in case you see this at a different time, August 5th of 2021, and it's actually drizzly and cold as heck. That's funny, because it's, 63, no sun for 2 days. When it's sunny, 63 feels like a breeze. When it's cold and there's the ocean breeze and the ocean moisture, it gets you down to your bones. And back home, it's 105 right now. Ah! Anyway, I hope you're having a great day, because I know I am. I'm going to have a great day. You too. Thank you for being on. Bye-bye. Oh, let's see. How do I finish?